you're not good enough to join the drama club or the math team, or not good enough to get on the sports team you wanted? My name is Babe Didrikson, and I had a dream. I wanted to be the greatest athlete alive. People have told me my whole life that I wasn't good enough, but I proved them wrong. Well, my life story is quite fascinating, but before I go on and on about me, why don't I tell you a little bit what was going on around my time. I lived in the early 1900s, so there was a lot of events going on, but I'm only going to name a few. Like, for example, World War I, which started in 1914 and later came to the U.S. in 1917. It did not affect me very much because I was very little when it started. But other than historical news, there was very many scientific events going on too. Like, for example, Kool-Aid was invented in 1927. It was my favorite drink until soft drinks came out. Now, like I said before, people told me my whole life that I wasn't good enough, but I proved them wrong. It all started when my father, Ole, and my mother, Hannah, immigrated from Norway to Port Arthur, Texas. That's where me and my 6 siblings were born. My father was a constructor, so he built me and my siblings a gymnasium to keep us busy when him and mother were at work. I appreciated it the most. That's where my obsession with sports started. My father gave me the most support when it came to my sports. We would always get the newspaper and read the sports section. My favorite part was when it talked about the Olympics held in New Amsterdam. My favorite sport was when it talked about the women's track and field. I got so excited to compete, I started practicing right away. There were 7 hedges dividing my house to the grocery store. I would use those hedges as hurdles and jump over them and turn into my own private race course. With all this practicing, I decided to get into more sports. I played basketball, baseball, golf, tennis, volleyball, and swimming, all while I was in high school. With all the sports playing, I caught the eye of Colonel McCombs of the Casualty Insurance Company. He hired me as a job as a secretary, but not for my typing skills, for my basketball skills. With 3 years with Golden Casualty, I led my team to 3 AAU finals and 1 national title. But sadly, basketball season was over for me, but McCombs didn't want to lose his best player, so he searched for a new sport for me to play. Track and field was obviously the next best choice. In the 1930 AAU finals, I set a world record in the baseball throw and 80-meter hurdle and came extremely close to the long jump, but that didn't make me give up. In 1932, I set a world record in the long jump and the baseball throw. McCombs had an idea. What if I can single-handedly win the women's track and field? In the 1932 AAU Nationals and the U.S. Olympics, I set a world record in the javelin, the 80-meter hurdles, and the long jump. It was finally time for the Olympics. I qualified for 6 different sports, but the rules only said I can compete in 3. So after arguing with the rules, I came up with a decision to compete in the 80-meter hurdles, the javelin, and the long jump. It was finally my turn for the javelin. I could hear the roaring fans, but that didn't make me nervous. I knew I would win. And I did. I set a world record for 14 feet and 3 inches. I also followed that day with a world record in the 80-meter hurdles for 11.5 seconds. I also set a world record in the long jump for 35 feet and 4 inches. I knew I would win, so I was not surprised. Sadly, in 1955, I developed cancer, but I didn't want to get off the field. So stronger than ever, I got back on the field for golf. I got an award for the Comeback Player of the Year, and after that, I won every women's national golf title. It turned out to be 82. Sadly, in 1956, my cancer came back, and I died at John Seeley Hospital September 16, 1956. I was one of the most memorable women of Olympics that will ever live.